was having a conversation with a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago, a couple of days ago, and we were talking about what it is that we do to create artistic material that speaks about the Christian experience. And it's difficult to talk about these things because as soon as you mention the word Christian, people's minds go in a particular direction. So it's almost as if you have to stop and then unpack that. And it's for that reason why most of the time you find that when we have those conversations, we actually talk about the kingdom, right? Because that's the language that Jesus used. They didn't use the language of Christian or what have you, but he used the language of kingdom. And I think that's a useful handle to use to explore what we're talking about when we are talking about how what it is we want to do creatively in terms of expressing what it means to live as kingdom people in the world today. The other elements that we spoke about related to almost this sense of duality, living in the world in quote, a sense of you coming out of a way of seeing the world, a way of seeing people, a way of being, so to speak, in the world, that in a sense seems to center on the self. And then we talk about, coming to Christ or coming into the kingdom or coming into the light, so to speak, of having a shared life with God, and how that interprets, how that works out in practical everyday living. And that's kind of where the crux is. It's great when we're in church and we do the things that we do in church. We do the usual singing and dancing, and we use the language a friend of mine calls Christianese. We speak this language, but somehow or the other, these two lives seem separate. They don't seem to. There doesn't seem to be a bridge that enables us to live as kingdom people in the world. See, creatively, that's kind of like what we want to be exploring. We've come out of the world, a way of doing things in a particular ways, a way of loving, a way of living, a way of interfacing with the world, a way of interfacing with the environment, a way of interfacing with people. And it seems as if we entered into an environment where God is saying, right, that paradigm, that worldview, that way of seeing that you've always had when you were a citizen, so to speak, of the world before you came to Christ. Now we're going to flip that. This looks different in the kingdom. And I want you to see this way. So essentially what then happens is that you have this conflict. So, between the way you used to be and the way that you now are. And how we work that out becomes one of those things that we need to explore as kingdom creatives.